Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Swati Gupta, Chartered Accountant. Today we are going to study a very short, simple, sweet standard, that is International Accounting Standard 23, or you can say Indian Accounting Standard 23. These both standards can be studied together because there is no sort of carve or difference between them. The name of the standard is borrowing cost. It is very simple standard and it is quite similar to the accounting standard that we used to study before. Okay, now what happens is this standard is simple. And in addition to this, as usual, I will try to make the standard as simple as possible. Now, in total, in short, the whole video becomes simple. Okay, so before we go ahead, I have two quick announcements to make. Firstly, all India's videos are being recorded and available in both Hindi and English language. So, whichever language suits you better, you can pick up that language, watch the video and make your concepts of Indias strong and clear. Now, second announcement. From now onwards, all the India's videos will be released at 6 p.m. on every Friday and Saturday. So, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon and like the video. And if you've done this all, now we are good to start. Let's begin. Okay, simply let's first understand the borrowing cost meaning. It is when you want to buy an asset or anything, okay, PPE, anything, okay. For that, if you are not having enough funds, you raise a fund. The raising of fund, the cost of raising of such fund is known as borrowing cost. That is, cost incurred for raising such borrowing, for raising such funds is known as borrowing cost. Okay, what the standard says is, it is the interest or any other cost incurred by an entity in arrangement of such funds is known as borrowing cost. Okay, now interest is calculated. For this purpose, it will be calculated with an effective rate. Effective rate means if there are different rates, you calculate that interest amount, you divide it and upon the borrowing amount. Okay, in proportion to that, whatever rate comes is known as effective rate. For the calculation purpose of this standard, effective rate will be taken into consideration. Apart from this, there comes finance lease. So, in finance lease, whenever we account for it, we record the interest portion as finance charge. So, this finance charge is the amount of borrowing cost. Okay, for this purpose of this standard, the finance charge will be included in the borrowing cost. Okay, in case of finance lease. Next comes this treatment. After identifying, after seeing, after calculating the borrowing cost, what we'll do? We'll first see if it is for qualifying asset or other item. Okay, qualifying asset or other than qualifying asset. If it is a qualifying asset, then whatever borrowing cost is there, it will be capitalized. That is added into the cost of asset. Into the cost of asset. Whereas, if it is borrowing cost is for some other item, then what happens? It will be directly transferred to P&L account. Okay. Now, what is qualifying asset? Let's understand that. Qualifying asset is simply an asset that takes some substantial period of time, amount of time to get ready for use. Okay, if it takes some period, for example, if you thought of making that asset today and it is prepared within today or tomorrow or within a week, then this is not substantial period. Hence, the asset that will be made, that will be constructed, will not be included in the definition of qualifying asset. Okay, so any asset that takes time to get prepared, this is known as qualifying asset. So, qualifying assets are those that take substantial period of time in getting ready to use. Now, it may vary. The substantial period is not any length, it can be of any length. It varies from entity to entity, asset to asset, industry to industry, etc. Okay, the substantial period is not given in specific length. Okay, 3 months is substantial, 8 months is substantial. No period is given. It varies. It widely varies. Another thing comes is it can arise either from acquisition. Either you can acquire the asset, you can construct that asset. Okay, you can hire someone and get it constructed, or you can produce it on your own self. Okay, either it can be acquired, constructed or produced. For example, beer plant. Beer plant is what? Any plant, any agriculture produce that gives you produce, that is example vegetables, fruits, cereals, anything in return that bears some fruit, that is known as bearer plant. So in case, for example, if you use the highest yielding variety of seed and you sow that, yeah, you put water as much as needed, you put all the sunlight, all the best effort you do it, still it will take some time to get it nurtured, to get it to become a full plant and then bear fruits. It will take some time. It may be 3 months, it may be 6 months, it may be a year, whatever. It takes time to get ready. This time is known as substantial time, and hence the bearer plant is known as, does qualify for being a qualifying asset. For example, PPE, intangible asset, investment property, these are some examples of qualifying asset. So if you have done a borrowing, you have taken a borrowing for qualifying asset, then it will be capitalized. If you have taken a borrowing for asset other than qualifying asset, then it will be transferred to P&L as discussed in the slide, in the just previous slide. Now next, process of capitalization. After identifying the asset, after identifying the interest amount, after identifying the borrowing cost, what you will do? You will capitalize it. Now how the capitalization is done? It is done, it starts from the period of commencement to the period the asset is completed. Okay, the production of such asset, the time from which it is started to the time it gets completed, or cessation of such expenditure development started such asset up to cessation, that is completion of such asset when asset become ready for use. Okay, start to completion of that asset. Okay, now in case of suspension, this is a critical case, separate and very rare case. Okay, but in case suspension occurs, suspension means stopping of some work, temporary stoppage of the work on that asset. Okay, if such suspension occurs during this period, but borrowing cost keeps on going, keeps on incurring, because you have taken a loan from bank, anyways, either of condition happens, you have to submit that loan, you have to return that loan, you have to pay that interest. So the borrowing cost keeps on incurring even in case of suspension. So what we'll treat, how we'll treat that becomes a question over here, arises a question. Now, if such suspension, that is, if such stoppage of work is beyond control of the entity, is not in the control of entity, it cannot stop it. Okay, for example, lockdown occurred, government announced sudden lockdown, okay, for a month, for 2 months. Okay, can you help it? No. Can an entity do anything about it? Is it beyond its control? Yes, it was beyond its control. So the borrowing cost that incurred in that period will continue to be included in the borrowing cost and being capitalized. Whereas if the suspension is within the control of the entity, for example, any delay due to your own choices. For example, you wanted a specific material and it is not available, or the labor is very high in cost for timing, so you thought, okay, after Diwali I'll do this work. For a month or for a 2 months, for any period, you suspended such work on that asset. Then this is within your control. Therefore, the suspension period related borrowing cost will not be included. Then do not include, okay, such borrowing cost portion pertaining to that suspended period. Okay, to make it more clear, it starts from when the expenditure starts and it ends when the asset gets completed. Okay, during that period, for example, this is 1st April 2019 and this is 15th September, for example, okay, 2021. Whatever, the period is quite long, it is substantial period, we have considered this. Now during this, due to any reason, any suspension of work occurs, for example, for 1 month. Then what we'll see if this is within control or without outside control. If it is beyond control of entity, beyond control, then what we'll do? We'll continue to capitalize, continue capitalization. Okay, whereas if it is within control of entity, then what we'll do? We'll simply stop for 1 month capitalization. Okay, such borrowing cost, interest, whatever it is, if pertaining to this month will be stopped, will not be capitalized. Okay, am I clear? In case of any doubt, please comment down, and these PPTs and these PDF files, the notes are given in the description box. You can simply download it and keep it for your reference. You can note it down in your books, otherwise keep it handy. Okay, whenever needed you can refer this. Next comes the steps of capitalization. First, identify the qualifying asset. Next, identify the borrowing cost and its type, whether it is specific or general. In case of specific borrowing, when you borrow that loan, when you borrow that funds, when you take a loan, you put a specific condition for it. Okay, specific, if you mention the purpose, okay, if you mention the purpose, the use of such loan amount in the loan agreement, then it is known as specific borrowing. Whereas you take a general loan, okay, take the loan, then we'll decide what to do with the funds, okay, how to allocate it, then these are known as general fund. If the use is given in the, if the purpose is mentioned in the loan agreement, then it is known as specific. If the purpose is not mentioned, then it is known as general borrowing. Okay, so you identify whether it is specific or general, and other than this you have to identify the qualifying asset. Next, if it is specific borrowing, then close your eyes, without any hesitation, capitalize it directly. Whereas if it is general borrowing, then you have to see wherever you have allocated it and you have to divide it accordingly. Okay, you have to do a weighted average of effective rate and then divide it according to wherever you have used that funds. Okay, now next comes is, if there is temporary investment. For example, you borrowed a 10 lakh funds. Now for 2 months you know that only 8 lakhs are being used, and this 2 lakh is surplus. I will be using this after 2 months. Okay, this 2 lakh funds is surplus for 2 months, 3 months. Okay, so what you do it, you temporarily invest in any mutual funds or anywhere. Okay, so you get something out of it at least. In that case, that is known as temporary investment of the surplus fund that you were having from the borrowings. Now any income that arises on such temporary investment, then such same amount is deducted from the borrowing cost. For example, the borrowing cost is 1 lakh rupees, and if you receive any 10,000 interest, any 10,000 income due to such temporary investment, then your borrowing cost will be 1 lakh minus 10,000, that is 90,000 only. Okay, now next comes is last, very simple, disclosure requirements. You have to simply disclose the amount of borrowing cost and the rate of borrowing cost. Okay, at the rate at which you have borrowed such funds, you have to show amount and rate in the disclosure. Now what happens is, in case of exchange difference, if it is positive, okay, if there is saving and interest amount, then what happens, you capitalize that exchange difference up to the saving. Whereas if there is any reversal, exchange gain, if any, then such it will be reversed, and this is known as decapitalization. Since you add it, it is known as capitalization. If you reverse it, it is known as decapitalization. That's it for the video. I hope you understood this. The same video is also available in Hindi language. Okay, so in case of language issue, you can definitely check it out. Also, if you like the video, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and share it with your friends. Okay, in case of any doubt, anything that you liked about this video, anything that you hated about this video, please comment down and let me know. Okay, see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care, be safe, stay tuned.